Internet. Welcome once again to the only podcast about movies. My name is Matthew Kroll.
And all the way from New Zealand, it's Shahir Dowd.
That's right. We are not in the same room. He's across the globe. I'm looking where he normally sits.
You're arguing at a chair.
I should have set up a chair. To be perfectly honest, there is no chair in your spot right now.
I'm hurt.
I feel bad, but I don't.
Oh.
Anyway,
how are you?
I'm good. We wanted to get this. This episode is very important to us, which is why Shahir's over basically across the world on business. I am still here crying, waiting for him to come home, but we decided that this needs to come out. We waited too long to speak about it.
We have to, and I have to open this with an apology to you, Matthew Kroll.
Well, we haven't said the film yet.
Well, let me set it up by I owe you an apology because for the last few weeks I've been complaining about Jurassic World, Terminator Genesis, Mission Impossible 5, and I think it all culminated with me saying those films aren't movies.
Right.
And boy, was I wrong about that when we went and saw the movie this week, Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Now you know what not a movie looks like.
Yeah, what not a movie looks like is Fantastic Four, whereas what a bad movie looks like is Terminator Genesis, Mission Impossible 5, and Jurassic World.
All right. Well, that's your opinion. And that's great. They're like assholes. We all have them.
Right.
But, which is why we're here. So we saw this not movie, Fantastic Four, and we thought, wow, no one's talking about it. So, why don't we, as the only podcast ever really speaking about movies, talk about something that for once isn't actually a movie?
It's kind of amazing, isn't it? This film, I'm going to open with everyone should go see this movie because it's so amazing to watch what happens. It just makes it's incomprehensible that this actually even made it to a screen.
I am going to make a caveat and say don't pay to see this movie.
Maybe don't pay, but yeah.
Someone needs to learn their lesson. And I got to tell you, I actually saw a screening of this film, so I did not pay for it.
Well, I paid.
I'm sorry. You should petition to get some cash back. But Shahir, you've been to screenings before, right?
Yeah.
So you know how normally when you go to a screening, someone comes out and is like, all right, we are very happy to present you this motion picture who is this, that, and the other thing, and this person did that, and blah, 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 and please enjoy the thing, turn off your cell phones, blah, blah, blah. There's a little presentation from whatever guild or order is putting on the show, right?
Well, yeah, I've been to those.
Yeah, right.
Did that not happen?
Nope. No one said a damn thing, which
They
when
just
the
wanted
lights
to
went
get it
out
over
and the
with.
movie started, I was like, oh, shit's about to get real.
Wow.
They don't even want to talk about who's involved, why we're here.
Oh, wow. Well, were they justified in just getting you in and out of the movie theater as quickly as possible?
Absolutely. And I was trying in my brain as this thing was playing to try to find, because it was obviously bad. And I was like, ugh. And it slowly, every time you think it can't get worse, it kind of does. And I was looking for moments, glimmers, hope that it would be even remotely enjoyable to watch. And I would like to, and maybe if you can think of it, you can reach deep down in your soul from across the globe, Shahir, I want to find at least a moment that you were like, okay, that's all right. Well, and I have one. I could start that off if you want.
I wonder if we have the same moment, which is when Johnny Storm is burning alive.
Oh, no.
Okay.
That wasn't my moment.
Okay, well, here's my thing with the whole movie in general, which is that I am fascinated by this movie because I think the first half of it, you can kind of see Josh Trank, the director, going for something, which is this sort of gritty reboot of the Fantastic Four and a kind of body horror film. But the amazing thing to me is that at some point during the middle of this movie, everybody involved, the actors, the writers, the director himself, the producers, all give up on that idea and just say, fuck it, we got to get out of this movie as quickly as possible.
Oh yeah, there's a huge let's bail mentality.
Yeah, it's let's just get out of this.
But it's funny because you talk about you mentioned the whole like, body horror, like things going wrong sort of thing. And I will say, if I had to pick a favorite third of the movie, it would be the first third. But that's not saying it was good. I'm just saying that it. How do I put it? The scene that I liked was how they end up going to, let me explain real quick. And the Fantastic Four is a bunch of people that go to another dimension, an accident happens, and they get superpowers. There you go. If you haven't heard of whatever, I don't even know why you'd be listening to this.
Honestly, you don't need to see the movie. That's it.
Yeah, that's a well-known fact.
No, but what I'm saying is the movie is nothing more than that.
Right.
Right. There is no more depth to the movie than what you just described.
And when people take, especially if you want to go to wacky comic book characters, at least Fantastic Four is one of the wackiest that still was popular at a point. They were like the first family of superheroes. So when you take one of the most wacky properties and you gritty the fuck out of it and you try to realism boot it, that's hard. But what I liked, and this is the only thing I liked, was how they end up going to the other dimension in the little thing they built. They get sort of jaded by their corporate masterminds, the characters in the film, and then a bunch of them get drunk and decide, fuck it, we're going anyway, to the point where I think one of them, it might have been Reed Richards, has an American flag with him. Like, he's going full on like moon landing on this thing because he's drunk. And I thought that
scene makes no sense.
No. But I liked it. That was the one sort of like, I just thought like, oh, okay, this is a sort of what people might think is gritty. That I was like, all right, I can take it. But that was it. That was it.
It's amazing to me how like you can take five great actors, really good actors, put them in a movie that they don't care about, and all of a sudden they're bad actors.
Right. Well,
everyone is a bad actor in this movie.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the characters real quick. So there's two characters in the entire movie. There's Johnny Storm, and then there's every other character in the movie that is the same character.
Yeah, I think, Johnny Storm seems to walk away with the film only because he has one scene where he's racing a car.
And his attitude, everyone else's attitude in the film and sort of drive is almost exactly the same. And he is separated. He sort of has his own sort of thing, even, whatever. No one felt like Reed felt exactly like Sue, felt exactly like Ben, felt exactly like Johnny and Sue's father, felt exactly like the government guy, felt exactly like Victor Von Doom. Like
Victor Von Doom is the hardest to decipher. What does he want in this film?
Nothing. He's a delusioned, bullshit, nonsense, gifted computer guy.
Yeah. So obviously we think that the movie, I think go see the film because it's amazing just to see how to think about the entire process this film went through to get to being on screen and still be that bad. I think the only example I can think of that was equally as bad, and I'm curious as to how it ended up on screen, was M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening. Like that
I
movie,
don't think it was as bad, and I hate that movie.
The thing about this one is that I think this is aiming to be better than The Happening to me is worse because it feels like people were incompetent, whereas I feel people were competent, they just didn't care on this movie.
I think, we can
let's
get
speculate,
into, let's speculate. I think the studio, what studio did this? It's not even
Fox. It's Fox.
Fox did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the studio saw Chronicle, jizzed all over it, and was like, gritty reboots are great. We're getting the Chronicle guy to do Fantastic Four. And that's what they did. I think he delivered them a film, which we can get into the sort of politics or whatever, that they did not buy. Whether it was good or not, that's not the point. I guarantee you that the director gave a cut of this film to the studio that was not what they envisioned or were told they would get. Then they stepped in, huge sort of nonsense, and they tried to finish the film via committee.
It definitely feels like a film by committee. It has the worst tendencies of groupthink that I can see in a recent film, which is that,
Oh,
and it's bitterly cynical as well, because at some point you realize this is what the filmmakers think of their audience, which is that we want just guys in a room fighting. That's all we want.
Right.
You know, and like at some point you go, this is really sad, a sad indictment of what a studio thinks an audience wants. And maybe, you know, again, the Avengers makes a crap ton of money and all those other movies make a crap ton of money, but you know, maybe it's true, but at the same time, this is, you know, like this insults an audience to the upteenth degree.
No, see, this is the difference between this and Avengers, other than everything.
And other than the fact that we talk about the Avengers every time.
Right. But the difference is this is exactly what parodies of like this movie feels like it was made by the parody of what we consider a studio exec is. But
right.
It's real. Like that's a chilling thing. I think they do. I think they absolutely do think that way. The people at Fox think somewhere that this is what we want. And that's troubling. That's deeply troubling that they can look at a film like Avengers and be like, "Oh yeah, we got that."
Well,
but take every bit of entertainment and like goodness and heart out of it.
They're not wrong though as well, right?
No, they are wrong. I think this proves they're wrong.
I think they just executed it badly, and the problem is that the film, it's hard for me to speculate entirely because, you know, there's so much politics behind the making of a film that it's really hard to know who did what and who said what and who's to blame. It's probably a whole bunch of things, but this feels like the problem wasn't necessarily that they were wrong in trying to execute a gritty reboot of the Fantastic Four franchise. What was wrong was that they changed what they wanted halfway through the film, and the film suffered as a result, because what the film starts with and what the film ends with are two different things entirely.
Right. But here's what I think, and again, this is all speculation, but I think they didn't change what they wanted. I think they were clear, probably, with, what's the director's name?
Josh Trank.
Josh Trank. I bet you they were clear with him what they wanted. And I bet you he just said, fuck it, I'm good. And whether or not what he delivered was good or not, that's not the question. I mean, I guarantee you it was better than what was delivered to the theaters because, I mean, literally watching someone take a shit for an hour and a half is better than what was delivered to theaters. It could have been Josh Trank literally on the toilet for an hour and a half.
I'm not, hang on.
Reading Fantastic Four comics.
I'm not exactly sure about that because I still think the first half of the movie is kind of bad.
No, it's bad, but it's not like bile-inducing just shit stains. Like it's bad. There's no question. I'm not saying he's a great director or that he, you know, should have been brought up to these quote-unquote big leagues as fast as he was. I'm saying that film, the first third of this movie, is still a movie. It's a bad movie.
Yeah, it's handled badly. It's eye-rolling bad, but at least you can kind of say it's going for something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, I mean, the cynic and the told you so in me is like, yeah, fucking Fox, you don't know what the hell you're doing. Let's give it back to Marvel. Not that I'm even a big fan of Fantastic Four.
They know what they're doing with X-Men.
Yes, but how is that possible that they are doing that and they're doing it fine and they still fuck this up so royally?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, you know, like, again, I don't know the exact politics, but it really does feel like, you know, I was having a discussion with a friend of mine yesterday, who's in the room right now, actually, he's probably overhearing this, but we were talking about like whether a film needs to be committed to a singular vision. And, you know, that's what makes great films is that they have a singular vision that carries them through. And this feels like there was a singular vision at the beginning, but at some point nobody believed in it and everyone kind of bailed on it. And you know, I feel like there potentially could have been an okay film in here somewhere, maybe. Hopefully that the second half is so bad that it's hard to actually even speculate about what the original ending of this movie would have been.
Well, the original ending didn't have an action sequence. That was one of the big things why they went back and reshot for 4 months.
Right. Okay.
And so that was a problem for the studio because they're like, oh, it's a superhero movie. It needs something exploding and people fighting. And
right.
I don't think, honestly, I have other movies for that. Like, I would have rather seen more of a, if you're going to go deep and dark and bullshit with the Fantastic fucking Four, like, I'd rather have a character drama than watch them fight Doctor Doom for the umpteenth time.
But then how do you sell that? How do you sell that film? How do you say I'm going to make a superhero movie in the environment, in the economy that we live in terms of superhero films without an action scene in it?
I mean, have you seen like Super or
But that's not Fantastic Four. That's an original property.
Doesn't matter. You can still
indie film.
You can still do it. You can still do it like that just because the name is different and it's something that we've done. Look, if you're going to take the Fantastic Four, which is probably the least gritty comic Marvel has, next to Squirrel Girl at this point.
Isn't the new Fantastic Four universe kind of gritty? Isn't it slightly darker?
Not real. Well, first of all, the Fantastic Four comic book, the actual books themselves aren't running anymore.
Oh, right. I thought there was the Ultimate Fantastic Four.
There's an Ultimate, but everyone's different and weird in the Ultimate universe, and they're kind of merging them together currently. It's a whole big thing. Or I'm behind. I only read trades, so I'm always 6 months behind. So they might have already merged it. I don't know.
Right, and as far as I'm told, this film, as loosely as it does, follows the Ultimate franchise.
I mean, the original Fantastic Four was on a space mission that got hit by cosmic rays and gave them powers, and this was a dimensional travel thing.
Right.
That they had an accident and gave them powers. So, sure. But you just can't. I've lost my train of thought. This podcast is feeling to me almost as disjointed as the film, but obviously,
it's hard to speak about it because it was a week ago that we saw it as well.
Yeah. So let's sort of So we talked about the first act, and here's the thing. It's all
Here is
build up.
the thing.
Here is the thing. It's all build up to something that's stapled on at the end, which is his action scene in Planet Zero. Which, side note, holy fuck. The Fantastic Four has a place that they discovered that is huge in Marvel Comics that I'm sure if they have the rights to Fantastic Four, they have the rights to this thing where they would have gotten their powers. It's called the Negative Zone. And they do a shit ton of stuff in the Negative Zone. That's the first place Reed Richards discovers, blah, blah, blah. So then when like they're in there and the government and all this shit and like, we call it Planet Zero. And I was like, okay. Like it's, if you're trying to even remotely gain an audience from your property, which is what they're doing, otherwise they'd make Chronicle 2. Like, why do little things that are very simple and shit on the people that you're trying to get in the theater?
I mean, everything about the military story in this film makes no sense. That's the odd thing. It's not like this was a bang up job where they just came in and tried to fix it. They came in and I feel like people came in and tried to fix it and made it worse by like things just don't make any sense. Like Dr. Doom
came in and pantomimed fixing it.
Yeah, it's like, well, we just got to get this out. So yeah, fuck it. It's Planet Zero. We need an action scene. Dr. Doom's going to come back. All right, cool. Let's kill him off and fight. Dr. Doom literally returns to the film and is dead within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And why he's there makes no sense whatsoever. And then the scene is terribly executed as well. It's shot badly. Nobody's committed to it. They're suddenly back on Planet Zero without breathing masks anymore. I don't get it. I'm like, why, like the entire first half of the movie, they talk about having to breathe in this unusual atmosphere, and then they go back and everyone's just, breathing fine.
Yeah, and the third act special effects, which is the most heavy special effects sort of sequence, is
horrible,
rough. Like it looks like an animatic. It looks like an animatic at certain points, and you're like, holy crap! Like no one cares, and no one's even being paid to seem like they care.
But it's sad and disheartening because it feels like they've maybe gotten to a point where they can execute a large-scale action scene like that by pressing a few buttons, and this is what will come out.
Well, I think they've proven they can't. Like, this movie didn't make money.
No, but like, so for example, they decide back on Earth, like Earth is being sucked up into Planet Zero, and there's no explanation for it. I mean, that doesn't look too bad, but it just makes no sense.
Well, it's funny. You look at, and you can totally see this. It stole its action sequence pieces from other Marvel movies.
Yeah, well,
you
from other movies.
You have the portal from Avengers 1. You have the giant swath of land being pulled up into the sky in Avengers 2.
Yeah.
You have, what was it? I found a couple others, and I'll think of them as we go. But like, I was watching and I was like, okay, that was Iron Man. Okay, that was Thor. Okay, that was this. Okay, that they did that in Cap. And I was like, you just taking the greatest hits and doing them worse. It was like watching, I just got it. It's like, this movie is like watching your favorite band's cover band that didn't take the time to learn the lyrics or the tunes.
And also miss the essential elements for what made even just doing a good cover good. You know, like none of the actors seem like they're having fun.
No,
or are even interested in being
and
there.
I think they're instructed at that point to be like, this is serious. This is real world. Dark Knight did it and everyone loved it. Like, this is so funny. This feels like the last attempt, and I pray I'm right, the last attempt that Hollywood was doing currently to make the totally gritty, serious superhero movie. Now I know DC has they've said no humor, but like, even there was moments, and I don't really like Superman or Man of Steel, but like there were moments that were funny.
Yeah, there were lights moments, and those, and as problematic as Man of Steel was, at least it felt like a complete A to B story. This feels like it went A to halfway between A and B and stopped there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been not a proprietor of Man of Steel forever, but this Fantastic Four made Man of Steel look like Citizen Kane. Like, yeah. Insanity. In fucking sanity.
I mean, how far into this movie do you want to go? Like, I mean, so what? Everything, pretty much nothing works in this movie, right? Like no scene actually plays off in an interesting way. Like even Johnny Storm's big intro scene. There's an interesting thing, which is that the trailers of this film contain a lot of footage that aren't in the movie, including like a big action set piece with the Thing, a few more scenes with Johnny Storm, and then in the film they're kind of shown to you on a monitor somewhere, as in they happen somewhere else and we don't see what they are.
Right.
Like I don't understand the rationale behind that kind of thing. Like Johnny Storm's intro is probably the worst superhero intro I've ever seen. Yeah, it was pretty fucking rough. There's no question. You know, it's basically we're on a plane with Tim Blake Nelson, aka the Mole Man, and he sees Johnny Storm in the window shoot a drone down, and that's it. And it's done badly. Like the VFX are terrible. Yeah, and like the way they just handle all the characters poorly. And if we want to go, the first major misstep, honestly, is the treatment. The first thing where I was like, oh, fuck you, was the treatment of Sue Storm. Oh, she's bad, but also Grimm, Ben Grimm. Yeah. No, but he's horrible. But this is the thing. You know what I love? It's funny because the Fantastic Four obviously is a product of a bygone age, like whatever. Like the girl's power is to not be seen. There's a whole bunch of allegories that people smarter than me have talked about with that. But in this movie, she doesn't even get to go on the magical fucking dimensional trip that she helped make possible because she's got boobs. Like, it's basically I don't understand the three dudes, one of which, Ben Grimm, isn't even a fucking scientist. Isn't part of the experiment. They just Reed Richards just calls him and says, hey, you want to come on this like interdimensional trip with me? Yeah. So it's the three guys. It's Johnny Storm, Ben Grimm, and Reed Richards, and Victor Von Doom. And then when they come back and shit hits the fan. Why does Sue Storm get invisibility? Because the blast from the open doors hits her. From why does that cause what? Like we see. Really, we're gonna get into why at this point. Like, well, Johnny Storm gets lit on fire. Ben Grimm gets hit with a bunch of rocks, and Victor Von Doom falls down the hole and his suit
what
melts with
happens to Reed? Why does Reed stretch?
Reed stretches for some reason.
Yeah, it doesn't fucking matter. Like they give 2 out of the 4 reasons.
All of a sudden, Sue Storm just gets invisibility.
Yeah.
And she's not even on the trip.
Yeah. So then after the accident, let's just kind of go through this nonsense. It kind of skips it. Well, it goes into like
1 year later.
The government takes them and is doing experiments on them, and then Reed escapes. And then it's 1 year later, and they've trained Sue, Johnny, and Ben to basically be like government weapons, even though they never really do anything. That's the other thing. So for the second and third part of this film, other than going back to Planet Zero, it all takes place on one military base, with the exception of 5 minutes in like Venezuela or South America, where Reed is hiding for 3 seconds.
Yeah, you have to admit this kind of feels like Tommy Wiseau's Fantastic Four, you know? Like,
yeah.
It's like, let's just do one room for the whole movie.
Absolutely. That's a good point. It felt like, okay, kids, play inside. Like,
I mean, the room looked great. We were actually, oddly, I think I'm on a production right now where we're looking at Fantastic Four as a reference on occasion. And like the room itself looks good. But it's just weird that that's the only space they have. Yeah,
kudos to the set designers that will never have any of their shit looked at because this thing was a fucking giant turd nugget. I'll give the film that, or whatever this was. I mean, the look of a lot of the things was neat. Yeah, like I'm talking about the objects, not the way they were shot or how they were lit. I'm talking about like the space that these people walked through and pretended to pretend.
My favorite thing was Dan Castellaneta, the voice of Homer Simpson, being the disapproving science teacher who's pissed off that his science student is doing science.
Oh my God!
Because he didn't make what was it, like a lava, like a volcano. Instead he came up with some teleportation device.
Yeah, he made something that could actually make something disappear, a model plane or some shit, and bring it somewhere, then bring it back. And he's like, his science teacher gets pissed because he didn't pour baking soda and vinegar into a fucking toy volcano.
It's so bad. But then I like those things tend to, like, I've seen things like that in other movies, other better movies, and those things still annoy me. Like the example that I kept thinking of was in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. The character played by the Harry Potter kid. I keep forgetting his name.
Daniel Radcliffe?
No, it's not Daniel Radcliffe, but he basically plays the kid who hates apes. In Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And it's like, it's stupid and it makes no sense. And he's like, all of a sudden there's just this guy who hates apes. It's like, and this is that similar thing, which is like, all of a sudden you got a science teacher who hates Reed Richards because he thinks he's silly, right. And it's like, it makes no sense.
Fuck you, nerd. Pay attention in science class.
And the film is just littered with that kind of cynical thinking, like cynical thinking about the audience. It's really sad to be in this movie and watch. And the odd thing for me was that in the audience I was in, they actually applauded at the end of the movie. And I couldn't figure out if they were laughing at the movie or they were actually like, oh, this is fun.
What?
Maybe people just want to see Reed Richards stretch and the grim, the thing. Yeah, hit things. I don't know.
When the film sort of came to its conclusion, and so Von Doom comes back after a year, they capture Reed again, who gives a fuck, he could have stayed the entire time anyway. They go back to Planet Zero to do an the survey again. Oh, by the way, the reason the government wants to go to Planet Zero is because there might be resources there, maybe.
It's the unobtainium theory of, of films.
But at least, like, I'll even take a MacGuffin, or a red herring or whatever you want to call it. I'll take that. I'll be like, oh, this unobtainium is a marvelous stone that fuels everything. Great. I mean, you could have had some more nuance, but sure. This is a multi-billion-dollar government being like, there's this new place. Betcha there's some stuff we can harness there.
Now, was it related to what Doom's energy power was? Like, was the thing on Planet Zero the thing that made It's stupid to even think about this out
I mean,
loud,
if you want to look at it in the film, I mean, they have no idea why Doom has the powers that Doom has. They picked a bunch of things that made him glow green because the goo on the planet was green, and then he found like a big towel to wrap around his head, and then he gets it back even though they stripped him down in the thing.
And he seems to want to go back to like this planet for no reason, like that he was abandoned on.
Oh, right. I mean, the whole thing is fucking. I mean, there's no reasoning for him doing what he wants to do. He basically escapes. Once they bring him back to rescue him after being on this harsh alternate dimension for a year, he goes on a killing spree for reasons that aren't there. And then he gets back to the teleporter and goes back and decides, well, the whole planet or the regular Earth is just bullshit. So I'm going to be the only thing that lives, and I'm going to suck it all up into my new home dimension.
Right.
Yeah.
And what is the plan there? He's going to take.
No plan.
Okay.
No plan.
But he's sucking up Earth into the planet Zero, right? And he's going to terraform Planet Zero with Earth's resources.
Sure, and then he'll be able to design something. Whatever. Look,
it's the Kevin Spacey and Superman Returns theory as well. Like,
it's
I'm going to terraform something.
Right. It's so funny because Doctor Doom, I admit, Doctor Doom is a hard character to get right. There's been a lot of different versions of Doom throughout the years in the comic books and even in films and some other in cartoons and whatnot. Doom works best in one of two ways. Either as your generic, like I'm building robots and I'm going to take over the world, sort of like big Skeletor-esque kind of like caricatures of a villain when you need that sort of villain, right?
Right.
He works great. Dr. Doom. His name's fucking Dr. Doom. The other way he works is in the Marvel Universe, even though he's silly and he has he has Doom as his last name and it's just a fucking weird name. They've set him up in the Marvel Universe to be a fucking force to be reckoned with. Like,
right, he's a major character, right?
He has his own country that he keeps his people sort of impoverished, but they still love him. Every superhero is legitimately afraid of him because they know he marries in this universe. He's a master of technology stuff. And he actually... When he decided that he wasn't getting enough power from all of his tech, a la Iron Man, he decides, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to dabble in the dark arts. And he goes into magic. Right. He's this amorphous of magic and technology for pure evil. He time travels to King Arthur's time and seduces Morgan Le Fay, who's like a fucking witch back in the day, to teach him all about fucking magic and all this shit. There's a part where he actually gets sent to hell for fucking with shit so much and then fights his way out of hell. Like, there's great Doctor Doom stories. This is a man who's basically driven by two things: the love for his home country of Latveria and his hatred for Reed Richards because he thinks he's a pompous, fucking full of himself jackass.
Which he kind of is in this movie.
Which he is. I mean, I could see comic Doctor Doom seeing this one and being like, well, yeah, of course I'm right. Like, there's no question. So, but what this film does with Doom is it makes him into sort of a monster of the week, which you think would be close enough to the first version of the like bumbling fools, like, but that's at least fun because it's funny. Like,
this guy explodes heads.
And that's fine. Like, I was like, oh, that's gross. That's cool, I guess, but it's not something Doom would do.
And
Doom,
it's so tonally incongruent with the rest of the film as well. Like, it's such a weird shift to like go from this sort of Goonies-esque film about kids doing science into this like world where a dude explodes heads. You know, like it just doesn't quite make sense.
Let's see if we can put the different parts of the movie into things. I think Goonies is a great thing when they're little kids and he's doing science.
Oh, it's badly done, though.
It's horrible. No, I'm not. Please, all of the examples I'm going to use.
It's clobbering time. Remember that?
Oh, my God.
They say
for
the
those
line.
of you that don't know, it's clobbering time is something the Thing says when he's about to punch something in the comics. It looks great on splash pages. Other characters like say it for him sometimes. It's just a moment of levity before a giant rock monster punches some other evil thing in the face. In this movie, when he's little, he's getting accosted by his older abusive brother, and his brother's like, it's clobbering time. So you're like, get it. So even the fun moment of levity that the Thing would joke about, because let's be honest, the Thing as a character has nothing to be happy about. He's a giant rock monster that can't live a normal life and now is just damned to be this thing. So we're taking the one moment of levity from a character that's already the most downtrodden in comic books, and you're taking that away from the character. You're making, he says that because he was abused as a child. Like, fuck you and your gritty reboot nonsense.
Right.
So
you got the Goonies.
So you got the Goonies sort of trying to do the Goonies vibe and failing in the beginning. And then you have like science buddies, or like, what's the like weird science almost when they're teens, like coming together, and they fuck that up. And then you have
and there's some kind of like teenage angst, and like there's like a little moment where Dr. Doom Victor Von Doom is jealous of Reed because he seems to have like a relationship with Sue Storm. And so there's this kind of like,
AKA they were speaking and she smiled once.
Yeah. Oh God, it's bad.
Because ladies, I don't know if you know this, but if you talk to a man and you smile at all, I mean, it means you want to fuck him.
Isn't that what it means?
That's what it means. I, being a man, know this about women.
Right.
Oh fuck!
And then it goes into like a little scene of interdimensional travel, little bit of interdimensional travel.
I'm even going to skip that over because it was so just generic and fucking white bread that I can't even talk about it. And then it goes
body
into
horror.
Body horror, sure, for like 10 minutes. So The Fly or like any of that shit. Yeah. And then it turns into government is fucking evil and dark and going to control these people that are injured and use them as whatever, but it never like goes there. So you can't even get like any of that sort of like, I don't know, the government trying to harness things they don't understand for evil, like even Flight of the Navigator or like any movie where the government's the big bad. So
and then Reed is on the run.
Reed runs away because he wants to try to help his friends. Or whatever, he couldn't do it there, whatever. The government says they're going to help him, but first you got to go on these missions for us. Whap, 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 whap. Okay, so now the U.S. government is winning because superheroes?
Sure.
Kinda? Government enlisted superheroes. They're basically soldiers at that point. With no training, or with a year of training, but not like military training, just like how to harness your bullshit training.
Mm-hmm.
Then in expeditions back to Planet Zero, they find Von Doom because they're back looking for those mysterious resources they were talking about, right?
Right.
He's been alive for a year. His suit has meshed onto his body, giving him the Dr. Doom-esque mask, which, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Then he comes back, and then it's like a horror movie for like 10 minutes when he's exploding heads, getting back. And then it's what a 60-year-old person in a movie studio thinks people want to see at the end of a film, being a giant CG beat-em-up bullshit. And then
it ends, and then there's like the naming of the team.
This is my favorite part. So when they get back to Earth and they beat Doom and they save the day, they go back to their little government room, which by the way is fucking destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go back there anyway. And the government's like, oh, great, now we can go back to normal. And now all of a sudden, they're like, nope, we're not doing this anymore. And the government's just like, okay. And like, you better not stop us. Okay, sorry. Oh, by the way, you're giving us your most expensive laboratory for us to run. Okay. Like, the government just goes from this, what they're trying to make feel like luminous, or not luminous, but like looming sort of just evil overlord, puppeteering bastards controlling these children, to like, oh, what else you want? Do you want my fucking lunch money? Like, oh, sweet. Okay, sorry. You can light on fire? Fuck. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Like, and then
have whatever you want.
Yeah. And then they go and they have the moment where they're like, they try to name the team with the fucking, it's fantastic. Like, a word that Ben Grimm has not ever used.
It's so bad. And then the film day, and it really it's this film was only like 85 minutes long, but it feels like 2 hours, and it's just like it's over. It just feels like we're just okay. We're out. You can leave now. We're sorry we put you through that. Let's just get out of here.
Yeah, and the overall feeling of the film is that of self-loathing. the characters in the film, if let's go from the smallest to the biggest. The characters in this film, especially when we talk about body horror and like all this stuff, even Doom's sort of twisted nonsense bullshit plot, like fucking scheme or whatever.
Yeah.
Every character in this movie hates themselves. And I'll go through how they do it. Reed hates himself because he can't fix his friends.
Right.
Sue hates herself because
she's a girl?
No, well, yeah, that too. But because she can't quite control her powers, and she turns and like gets the government to find Reed again. Ben hates himself because he's a fucking monster, and Johnny hates himself because he's not able to do more superheroing to help the government. Doom hates himself because he hates humanity. Sure. Oh God! And when the Storm's father, when the Doom unceremoniously just kills the father, who he's had a long-standing relationship with,
and nobody cares in this movie. They kind of just go,
cares.
"Oh no!"
The kids are like, "No, Dad,
no, Dad,
quick to the pod."
And then the dad's like, doesn't he say something like, "Look after each other"?
Oh yeah, and then there's the whole bullshit of like, we're gonna do this as a team, and you know where that works? The Avengers. You know where it doesn't work? Almost anywhere else, and this is included in that. So all the characters hate themselves. The filmmakers of this film. Oh no, sorry. Let's go into these overall. What is this movie trying to say? And it's trying to say a lot of things and failing at saying all of them. But the thing you get out there is that superheroes are dumb. And this is how it needs to be if you're going to portray them in some sort of real cool light.
Right. So, yeah, okay. I actually, like ordinarily I would say, well, that's just being too harsh on the film. But I kind of think, yeah, you're right. This is a superhero film by people who don't want to make a superhero film.
Right. So now let's talk about the people that made the film. You have the director, who I think did want to make a good movie. I don't know if he did, but the studio certainly didn't think so. So then they step in, realizing, well, they hate the source material and they hate what's done with it. But I'll be damned if we give away something that we can't do. Right. So they step in and they try to fucking fix it with the power of committee. Shahir, I'm sorry I'm going off on this, but like I read something today that I know everyone else probably has read this before. There's a guy who has a blog and he does studio style notes, like network or reality show notes for films. Yeah,
and he just did one for Star Wars, didn't he?
I read the Star Wars one. It's so perfect. Find this gentleman. It's amazing. It's like, it's all of the shit, if you're in the industry especially, like when you get these sort of nameless notes, it's just sort of like, what is happening? Like how are you, how can a person think this way? And you don't know. This movie feels like every major decision at the end of the day was yes-manned 5 times up the chain. Like no one wanted to lose their job.
Nobody wanted to lose their job. Nobody wanted to lose the rights to this property. I'm not sure why, but I guess it's valuable, although it's proving to be not valuable. The box office take on this is horrible right now. I think it made like $9 million off the back of a budget of somewhere in the vicinity of 120 million.
I'm looking at the domestic total. Actually, it made more than that. Domestic, it made 45.
Okay, good for them. How much did they get? How much did they pay?
Oh, it was 150 mil, but that's not even count or something like that. And that's not even counting the insane advertising that I've been seeing everywhere for it.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and the advertising makes no sense because they're standing in front of New York City being destroyed, and that never happens in the movie.
Right. Nowhere does New York City happen, except the Baxter Building is in New York.
Yeah.
But then they don't even get to go back to the Baxter Building. They go, that's the other thing. The Fantastic Four is based out of the Baxter Building. Like, I thought when they're like, we need our own facility, I was like, oh, they're going back to the Baxter Building. Nope, they're going to undisclosed science laboratory number 4. Hopefully they have tons of access to Planet Zero, you fucks.
Do you think there's going to be a sequel?
No. There will absolutely not be a sequel.
Will there be a gritty reboot?
Can you make it grittier? Would you just have to smear the only way you can make this grittier is if you took the film print and just ran sandpaper over it, like 40 grit sandpaper. Right,
and then you might have a movie then. The budget for this movie was sorry, I'm just pulling it up now. Yeah, 130 million.
So, and that's with like 40 million worth of reshoots.
Yeah.
So, and I want to kind of, I've talked to a lot of people about this movie, Shahir, and
okay.
Everyone expects me, because I have a little bit of a pedigree in this department, to like be really fuming and like yell a bunch and like get angry. But this is like, I'm just tired. Like, I think they've managed to, with this film, sort of beat the anger out of me. Like, I just don't fucking care. Like,
right.
You've taken something that I like. I like the Fantastic Four. I think they're necessary. I think they kind of fall into Hulk and Superman categories where they're great supporting characters in stories. I don't think they're interesting enough in this day and age to be in their own film,
right?
Or story in general. Their comic is over. They make great sort of reasons for other people to do things. Reed Richards is a fantastic, no pun intended, part of the Marvel universe. Like, he's the big brain that like Tony Stark goes to when he can't figure something out. But he's also, God, the character of Reed Richards in the comics is so fucking interesting.
Right.
Again, you don't want to read a whole story about it, but he's so smart. He's completely detached himself from reality. His marriage is in constant flux to Sue Storm because she is a human and he's so beyond it. Like, he's not even thinking about the human condition. And like at one point she has a fucking affair with the Submariner with fucking Namor. Like,
okay,
they have 2 kids, one of which, Franklin, he's super gifted where he can like bend reality. Like, he's one of the most powerful things. I don't know. There's tons of interesting dynamics when you throw other characters into the Fantastic Four,
but none in this movie.
None in this movie. And Hollywood's just sort of like, they've made the perfect thing to just sort of break my anger. It's like, oh, if you're going to fucking do this, then just do it. Like, I hope they learn their lesson.
I think maybe you've gotten there not because of me, but because of maybe my general fatigue at these kinds of movies over the years as well. And this is a perfect example of that. I will admit, like I said at the top of the episode, my criticisms of other movies seems a little harsh compared to the way this movie plays out. Like, I feel like I was being too hard on those other movies now. You had fatigue for superhero movies and a sort of style of action movie that this thing fails to even come close to. I don't have that fatigue. I don't feel like there's too many superhero movies. I don't think that we should stop making them or enjoying them. Or action movies, blockbusters, even like Jurassic World or Terminator Genesis, and that Terminator Genesis wasn't a blockbuster, but like, I think there's a place for them. What I don't think there is a place for is making a film that you hate making. These people, at least normally when you have a job, the reason you can kind of walk away with a bit of your soul is you're like, well, I'm getting money and I like money because I need it to live. And this movie is so bad that like the loathing of everyone in it is so palpable that it's just like the paychecks. I guarantee you the paychecks on this film made no one happy. They're like, fuck, let's get through this so I can do something I remotely care about. It's weird as well because there was like a big press rollout for this film as well, but all reports from the press rollout were miserable. People were like answering questions badly. People were unhappy to be there. So,
would you want your name on this if you did anything on it? Something this poorly mismanaged, and it's not even like people get in trouble or never work again because of it, with the exception of the director because his meltdown on Twitter and all that shit. Which whatever, but. It's not even a meltdown. He didn't fucking melt down. And everyone's doing all these reports. Well, I heard he was drunk and high all the time on the set. And well, I heard whatever. Well, no shit. Like, do you realize the amount of pressure that fucking directors have to go through to deal with the studio system? And to throw a first-time director who has been known as kind of he does what he wants to do. Though his last project was something where he had complete control.
And it worked out. To be thrown into a bigger system that has had flops in this general area before. Yeah.
And then have them be like, no, your idea for a good movie is wrong. even if it was wrong, to be that kid or to be that young man, it must have literally driven him insane. And some people can take that, and I think those are the people that survive and do well in the studio system, or they know how to play the game better. He didn't, because he's not a superhero.
Do you think that he did worse than Colin Trevorrow on Jurassic World? You know, like, the thing is, Colin Trevorrow to me turned in a film that had no personality, and, you know, like, that's kind of who he's going to be now. Do you think Josh Trank maybe deserves some praise for, like, being able to, like, walk away and say, yeah, this was a piece of shit?
Yes and no. I don't think that Jurassic World is as soulless as you do. I think a lot of that might come from Chris Pratt, and a lot of that might come from the pedigree that the film is cut from. I think, obviously he mitigated the studio pressure better because he didn't go on Twitter destroying his own film. And I think he probably liked the film. I think he was able to dance with the devil enough where you got something done that made a fuck ton of money that also is enjoyable to a lot of people.
Right.
Where this, he saw his what he'd been working on for years was getting fucked without consent. And it probably broke him. Like, this was supposed to be like, I don't think that Trank, did I say his name?
Yeah, Josh Trank.
I don't think he has a innate love for the Fantastic Four. I don't think he was ever a super fan of the Fantastic Four. I think he made a film that basically had a lot in common with the origin story of the Fantastic Four.
Right.
Chronicle is
there's
like
some speculation that this is Chronicle Part 2.
Right. So I get why a dumb person would be like, oh, this kid gets it because they have the same origin story. Like, and they give it to him. And maybe he did get it, but he definitely didn't get how you deal with the current big budget Hollywood stuff. If he comes back, and I hope he works again, I like Chronicle. I think he can do good stuff. But he needs to do it on his own terms, because he is not a team player in this weird-ass fucking nightmare of an industry. Like, he's not.
Yeah. And the sad thing for me is that, I hope he kind of like comes out of this okay, because you like to hear about young filmmakers getting a big shot at a film like this and knocking out the park. You know, the Christopher Nolan was probably just a little bit older when he did Batman Begins, so, you know, then that worked out great.
Yeah.
So you hope that he will come out of this. I think if he had played a little closer to the bone in terms of like doing a straight up action movie without any of the darkness, without any of the gritty reboot stuff, and just kind of turning something in that was a little bit soulless,
I think
would have been fine.
Right. But I also think the gritty reboot was studio mandated.
Right.
I don't think that he necessarily wanted super dark. I
think that's what the whole first half of the film is going for. And if you're not wanting to do that, why sign on board to this?
Because you get offered a giant property. I'm not saying it's the right move. I'm saying I could see why someone would make it.
Right.
So yeah, but like, take his talent and throw it into a fucking like internet space or something that he can just have complete control over. Like,
yeah,
give
so
him that.
You don't think he's going to be directing the Justice League movie or anything like that?
No, and I think it's important to say, because I feel like a lot of people are shitting on him. Everyone has a breaking point, and fuck, Sam Raimi broke on Spider-Man 3, and he is a prolific and phenomenal director. Joss Whedon kind of broke on Avengers 2.
Yeah.
He did it gracefully, but he also was kind of vocal about like, this isn't really how I wanted it to go. He wasn't as bad.
And
like,
I'm kind of always reminded of Will Smith was on a talk show with his son Jaden Smith, and everyone knows Jaden's on Twitter and says a lot of dumb things on Twitter. And Will Smith said something along the lines of, back in my day, I said exactly the same stupid stuff, but there was just no public forum for me to do it.
Yeah.
So, Josh Trank's meltdown is like, well, if it had happened in private, we wouldn't hear about it and it wouldn't be such a big deal.
Yeah.
But
we live in a
Twitter
different
sphere.
age.
Yeah, we live in the Twitter sphere now.
We live in an age where it's clobbering time is an allegory for domestic abuse.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I was eager to talk about this film because I was excited about like talking about a film where the production problems were so evident, and I'm really interested in production. So I was, on some level, I was kind of excited about talking about this film, at least.
Sure.
And I think people should see it. But talking to you, I feel like this film might have broken you. This film has made you really down.
It shines a light onto the shittiest parts of a pastime and an industry and an art that I truly love.
Right.
This film takes a giant fucking, just like the 4K, just fucking giant beam of radioactive sunlight and takes it to the fucking disgusting, shriveled, old ball sack of a beast that is normally so glitzy and glamoury on the front that you sometimes forget that this thing has like this tumorous fucking pouch of yuck on it. And
wow, that's kind of beautiful.
And it's just it saddens me, man. It's like I love movies. I love all kinds of movies. I think I'm very even forgiving for when a movie missteps. I'm like, yeah, but this fucking thing was cool. Like, sure, Sucker Punch is a piece of shit, but it looks like a party for your eye holes and like shit like that. Like, but this movie, there's just nothing like I couldn't grab at anything to make me feel okay. And all I felt was like just pity and just an overarching fuck you to everyone involved in making this thing what it became and showing exactly what you said, Shahir, what certain higher ups or certain people that make films think is okay to do. Not that they think, I don't even know if everyone, like I keep saying, the bigwigs. I don't know if whoever is in charge of this at the end of the day thinks this is a good movie. I bet you they don't. But They also made the decisions to get there. So I don't give a fuck if they like it or not. They just fucked up. And it hurt. And it shouldn't hurt because I shouldn't take it as seriously as I do.
But you do. But that's why we like talking.
Yeah.
I mean, it is sad, but I think it's endlessly fascinating at the same time. I mean, I hope in the months to come we will hear more about how this film got made because I think it's for me it's educational at least.
Sure.
And
learn
how to navigate
your mistakes. That's it. There you go. Let's turn this fucking frown upside down. Hollywood,
it's educational. Yeah.
People who make anything. Maybe you should. Sure. I'm going to switch my thing. Go see it. Go see it. I would say if you can see it without paying for it, do that because I don't want you to vote with this for your dollars. But it is I
don't think it's going to hurt if you pay for it at this point.
I think as a cautionary tale, as looking at someone who's made like a person in your life that's made awful life choices that is like just going down the toilet of humanity and you're like using that and be like, wow, they're fucked. But that really shows me that I shouldn't do that. Like there's better things, you should see this film to learn what not to do. Because sometimes, Shahir, I think you're actually right. You say you're worried that people are going to grow up with certain types of movies that you don't particularly think are worthy of praise, adoration, and sort of mimicry or sort of like basing someone's style off of.
Yeah. And
this might be, the silver lining might be that if all that stuff is feeling bland to you, I can't see a human being that would watch this film and be like, oh yeah, I want to make movies now.
Right.
So watch it.
The wrong kind of human being might watch this and go, I want to make movies right now.
Yeah, but they're not going to be the ones that make them.
Yeah, let's hope not.
Yeah. I think it's a cautionary tale, and I think it's one we would, as a industry, would be remiss if we didn't listen to loud and fucking clear.
But there are worse movies in the world. It's just it's an oddly incomplete movie.
I don't
which
know
is
if
strange.
there is a worse movie.
Oh, there are worse movies than this.
But not. Let's just, and we got to wrap this up soon.
Yeah.
But think about it on this way. Yes, someone has made a worse movie than this. But I want you to take the term worse and sort of use it in an all-encompassing, all-engrossing sort of thing. Is there a movie as bad as this one that had as many eyeballs tracked to it as this one did? I want you to take all the bad feelings that this movie created in an entirety of an audience.
Right.
That's what makes this one of the worst movies ever, because bad movies exist, but not everyone goes and sees them or hears about them or knows they exist.
Right.
Again, it's that light. It's that sort of shining of like, oh, fuck. Wow. Oh, fuck. This is where the shit goes?
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned The Happening, and I was thinking
Bad
about
movie.
that, but even The Happening has a beginning, middle, and end.
And M. Night Shyamalan probably loved that concept and loved that idea and worked really hard at it. Yeah, he missed.
Yeah.
But you don't feel like everyone involved in that movie is like, oh, fuck, let's just get through this so we can get to lunch. Like, you don't feel that. And I've never watched something like Fantastic Four that has felt so much like, God damn, is it 6 o'clock yet?
Yeah. It's definitely the closest thing I've seen to where the intention of the crew is up on screen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good ending point. I think we've gotten too depressing and too esoteric for too long on this thing. I promise next time we do this, hopefully in the next week, we will do something fun and something we can argue about with energy and zeal. And Shahir,
I've enjoyed talking about this one. I think it's an interesting film to talk about.
I did not enjoy talking about it, but I also feel like, much like a therapy session, I'll feel better about it later.
I'm glad. I'll send you a bill.
Yeah, send me a bill. Oh, make sure to do your prorated rate for actually a phone call because you're not in the room with me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Next one of these will probably be in the same room so you could feel the vitriol and when we want to punch each other. But until then, Shahir, where can people find you when you're not gallivanting around your home country of New Zealand?
I am on, you can get me on my website, www.shahirdaud.com, shahirdaud.com. We have a website we have a Gmail account for our podcast, onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com. Email us in for some free movie tickets, and our Twitter handle @onlymoviepod.
Yes, and you can find me at, where can you even find me? I don't know, MatthewKroll.com. That's MatthewKroll.com. Or you can find me at Instagram, Skeletor4 PREZ, or Emperor MSK on the Twitterverse. Say hello if you dare. If you want, I mean, I'll even take condolences from anybody about this movie. If you're looking to make me feel better, you could just say, I'm sorry for your loss, or I don't know, you do you. Yeah,
that's it.
That's it. So
we did it.
I mean,
Fantastic Four, we did it.
The best part about Fantastic Four is that it got us to do a podcast literally from around the globe. And I know people have done this and people do remote shit all the time. But honestly, from a technological standpoint, this really excites me because for free, we've talked for an hour via whatever fucking dark magic the internet works to make us be able to talk. Like
and we were, like I said, I was desperate to get on this phone call to talk about this movie. I don't know why. Like if it had been Terminator, I don't think I would have been as excited about it, and we would have just postponed it. But this film, I really wanted to talk about.
Had to make a trip across the globe through the intranet. Anyway,
get out of here.
Later, guys. See you next time.